Hello students, I'm Himani Sharma, your UGC NET Paper 1 educator. In this new YouTube video, the last lap program, the 30-day program that we have for you, I have brought forward certain new concepts which are related to the higher education unit, right? So without even wasting any time, let me just tell you that what and how do we proceed with this last lap program. First of all, the main focus of this program is to use the PYQs for the students' benefit, for all of them, right, as in for all of you to revise for your last minute revision purposes, even if you are sitting comfortably at your places, right, but you do not want to study, but yes, you are sitting comfortably and want to revise. That is why these series are there, right? We have certain more prominent concepts which are asked from each and every unit, be it research, ICT, teaching aptitude, etc. So this one will focus on the concepts more readily, right? And the concepts too will be based upon the last minute revision, based upon the PYQs for your last minute revision purposes, right? So the first question that I have for you here is, the abbreviation HEFA or HEFA stands for. So anytime I read a question, it is highly advised that you pause your videos and try to answer, rather than just watching it time and again to see the answer. Yes, of course, you should try. So first of all, that is how you will be able to test your knowledge. So the answer to this question is option B, that is Higher Education Finance Agency. So as the name also suggests, that it is the agency which will finance or fund, right, the higher educational institutions. Let's just read the explanation. It stands for Higher Education Finance Agency. It is a Section 8 company registered on 31st May 2017. So as I always emphasize, not even the dates, but yes, you should memorize the years, right? So in the year 2017, with Canara Bank, right? So this is a funding company which is associated with Canara Bank as its partner, having 250 crore equity from the government and 50 crore from Canara Bank, right? So basically these two, the government of India and Canara Bank, have collaborated for this very thing, for the higher educational purposes, to operate as a non-banking by RBI as well, right? So the Reserve Bank of India is also a body which is licensing this very scheme, this very company, HEFA, correct, to operate as a non-banking financial company for the purpose of mobilizing money through market borrowing and releasing them to government institutions as interest-free loans. So HEFA is basically for the loan purposes for what? The higher education part. And three bodies are there. That is the Government of India, RBI and Canara Bank, right? So this is the important information which you should be, all jotting down when watching the video as well, right? So I hope you understood that, and it was established in the year 2017, correct? Next question we have here is, which is the highest body to advise central and state governments on education? Again, pause your screens and try to answer this question. The answer to this question is option B, that is CABE. CABE is the body which is the highest body to advise central and state governments on the what part? On the educational part, that how education should be, imparted to people. CABE is the highest body, as we talked about, right? The full form you all should be knowing, that is Central Advisory Board of Education. As the name also suggests, that it is the advisory body, correct? So the main job of this body is to advise the state and the central governments when it comes to education, correct? The oldest and the most important advisory body of the Government of India, first established in the year 1920, an important thing, and then it was dissolved in 1923. So after the establishment, after 3 years, this was dissolved, right, as a measure of the economy, but again it was revived in 1935, and has been in existence ever since. So basically, CABE is an advisory body for the educational part, right, and it advises the state and central government when it comes to education, correct? Established in the year 1920, but 1923 it was dissolved, and then again it was started in 1935. It is the apex advisory body responsible for advising the central and state governments in the field of education, be it higher education, etc. So basically the governmental, the advisory body is CABE, which is advising the central and state government. Then we have the FLN mission will be implemented by, pause your screens to answer the question. The answer to this question is option B, that is Ministry of Education. Correct? So, Ministry of Education previously was known as MHRD, right? Ministry of Human Resource and Development. Correct? But when the National Education Policy in 2022 was there, right? When this policy came into practice, what happened was this MHRD was renamed to MOE, right? Now, talking about the FLN mission, we are supposed to read the explanation and see what is the full form even of this very body that we are talking about, right? This mission. So, the full form of, first of all, FLN is Foundational Literacy and Numeracy. Is a scheme launched by the Ministry of Education in 2020 in the new education policy or the National Education Policy 2020. Its mission was launched to ensure a minimum ability of children to read and comprehend basic text. So, basically FLN, foundational literacy, right, that you are literate, you know, you can read, right, and numeracy, anything which is related to numbers, that is also on the foundational stage. Correct? So, if you would have seen the previous videos, you would have seen that how I have taught in the classes in the YouTube video that the major structure, if we talk about the NEP, is 5334, and this 5 is the one which comprises of the foundational stage. Correct? That children form some kind of foundation is in these very 5 years of the beginning of their education, correct, which comes from the preschooling to the UKG part, etc., right? So this is what we are talking about here, that in the foundational stage, that's why it is named FLN, right? That it means on the foundational stage literacy and numeracy should be done, right? This program, this scheme is launched to enhance that very thing, and for the students to know and comprehend basic texts along with basic numeracy knowledge, right? Numeracy knowledge, sorry, which means that they should be able to know that 1 plus 1 is 2, right? The basic knowledge on the foundational part and not the part which is on the in the 12th standard, etc. No, correct? That's why FLN, foundational. The mission has been designed in a progressive and spiral manner to ensure the basic knowledge in the children till class 3rd, right? So, till class 3rd, this very mission will be used in the foundational sphere, and if we talk about here, the mission has been designed in a spiral manner, which means that it is going to go like this. What does that mean? From one words, the students are going to learn and they are going to, basically constructivism. If you would have watched the previous videos which are related to research aptitude, you would be knowing that in those videos where I have talked about the research paradigms, there is something which is known as constructivism, that the students learn new things with the prior information, the previous knowledge that they have of a particular thing. Correct? So, from even 1, 2, 3, 4, all the numbers which are taught to them in the foundational stage, when they move from the preschool area, they reach out to some other area, right? So now they know that 1, 2 is 12, or if I say 1 plus 1 equals to 2, right? So a spiral way is going, which is enhancing their knowledge in the foundational sphere, correct? So the major objective of this mission include development of language and analytical skills in the children. Of course, if they are going to talk about literacy, right, they are able to comprehend the basic texts which are there. Hence, the development of language in students is done, that yes, A stands for apple, B stands for ball, C stands for cat, etc. Development of inclusive classroom. So, we have talked about inclusion, right? If we were talking about the NEP or even in the higher educational sphere. Inclusive, that means every student, even if he or she belongs to, any kind of, maybe SCs, STs, or, economically backward areas, etc., which have been neglected long ago, right? All those students should also be included, right? Continuous capacity development on the teacher's front, that yes, the teacher is, developing something in the students, and yes, they are learning more and more, right? Active engagement with all the individuals involved in the process, which means that the teachers, right, should be the ones which will help the students to be the active learners, and yes, asking them that what do we have, what does the word A stand for, right? So active participation of all the individuals in all levels, right? Effective tracking of learning levels, that yes, how much a student has learned, how much do they want to learn, right? How much is left which is to be learned yet, correct? FLN is designed to achieve these three developmental goals. What are those? Number one is healthcare and well-being, right, on the foundational stage. Then we have effective communication. The student should be able to effectively communicate and actively participate in whatever is happening in the classroom and involved learners. And yes, this is what I was talking about in the previous point as well, that yes, active participation should be there. Correct? So I hope you understood this thing. It is related to National Education Policy 2022 and the full form is Foundational Literacy and Numeracy Scheme. Next question that I have for you is, which of the following is a decision support system for assisting people in taking the best decision for their children's future? So you can pause your screens here. The answer to this question is option B, that is Saransh. Saransh is the decision support system for any parent to know that yes, this is what their student, their children should be doing for their future, correct? For making decisions. Developed by CBSE, Central Board of Secondary Education, and was successfully launched by HRD or MHRD Minister Smriti Irani at the National Conference on ICT in School Education in the year 2050 at Vigyan Bhavan. So basically, for some factual information, first of all, Saransh was a program which was launched by CBSE and by Smriti Irani in the year 2015, correct? It helps schools and parents to review students' performance in various subjects and hence deciding that yes, what do the parents want their student, the children to do. Analysis based on data empowers schools and parents to make the best decision for students, that yes, if a student is good in mathematics, he has an interest in mathematics, right, then he or she will choose a certain field which is related to mathematics in the upcoming future. That is what they gain through the analysis, correct? It helps the school to look at performance in scholastic areas at an aggregate level and at the level of each student. So each student is also, the one who is judged, who is seen, analyzed, right? And apart from that, on an aggregate, on an average level, that how many students are the ones who want mathematics or science or for that matter history, correct? It facilitates interaction between parents and schools so that they can monitor the progress of students and help them improve their performance, right? So wherever they are lacking, that thing can also be focused upon by having this very thing, this very analysis which is done by the parents, by the schools, and telling it to the parents. So this thing, this link is something which is basically being a borderline, right? Which is basically being something as a link or a chain between the parents and the student. All the performance metrics are presented through numbers as well as in charts, graphs for easy understanding that yes, your child knows this much about this very subject, so on and so forth, right? So basically analysis is done, and yes, through the analysis that the parents or the teachers do come to know that yes, this is what the student is interested in, and this is where he or she needs to work. Next question is, which items in the following constitute non-conventional learning programs? So we have talked about the non-conventional, conventional or oriental programs which have been there in the past, in the past lectures that I have taken in the YouTube platform. The answer to this question is option C, 2, 1, 3 and 4. That is 1, 3 and 4. What is a tea sommelier? Tea sommelier is something who is the one who knows, who gets indulged in the study which is related entirely to tea, chai ke sath related. All right. So anything which is related to tea, its history, its culture, how is it taken, how is it drunk, etc. How can one have tea? How is it made? The recipe, etc. Everything basically is the one which is done by tea sommelier. Spa management is a beauty course, right? How to give spa massages, hair spa, body spa, etc., whatever, whatnot, right? It is a non-conventional learning, and museology is something which is related to the study of museums. Correct? So, all about tea, all about beauty, relaxation, spa, and all about museums, right? So, if you would all be, seeing that we have done conventional, non-conventional and oriental programs. So the basic differentiation in between the three of them is that conventional mode of learning is something which is traditionally done. Correct? For example, we have blackboards and teacher teaching, right? And lectures which are delivered, lectures in a classroom. Non-conventional, on the other hand, is something, for instance, we have talked about the courses which are generally not there, right? You can also think about the courses related to parlor, right? Anything which is related to beauty, nail extensions, etc. There are certain courses, and these are not the courses which are told in basic classrooms, right? In the institutional setting, but yes, non-conventionally, these things are talked about. So here we have talked about the spa management, for instance. Correct? Oriental is something now which is related to the study of the heritage or study of the previous languages and cultures. For instance, in the Oriental learning, in one of the previous videos, I have given you a question which was related to Sanskrit Vidyapeeth. That how this particular institution is the one which talks about giving education which is related to Sanskrit, right? The Vedic education, any scriptures which are written in the Sanskrit language, so that we do not forget our rich Indian heritage which has been there. And not only Oriental contains Sanskrit, it also contains anything, Pali, Prakrit, Persian, etc. So these languages are the ones which are lacking in today's time. No such, research is done here. So basically, Oriental programs are the ones, Oriental study is something which is related to Indology, that is study of India, etc. Right? And it talks about Sanskrit, Pali, Prakrit, Persian, etc. And the schools or the institutions are established to learn, to, know these languages more on a larger scale. Then we have, which of the following has been the basis for the introduction of yoga in teacher training courses? So pause your screens. The answer to this question is option B, that is NPE, that is National Policy on Education, 1986. So all of you, if you will be following my videos, you will be knowing that yes, in 1968 we have talked about the NPE, right? The National Education Policy, National Policy on Education. Then came in 1986, and after that in 2020. Correct? Here it is known as NEP 2020. Correct? So this is the chronology of how the educational policies have been there since the independence of India. Right before that, there were certain commissions which were there to look after the field of education. Coming back here, 1968 was there. In 1986 is the National Education Policy or National Policy on Education, which talks about the yoga courses, the yoga classes in the teacher training programs. Let's just read about the National Education Policy here. Different innovative approaches were introduced to cover elementary education in colleges in both rural and urban India. Correct? So basically, the rural India was not being neglected if we talk about what? if we talk about the 1986 education policy, also this was the policy which was talking about access of education to all and equity, that every person should be given the resources in the fair manner, correct? This policy mentioned various aspects like the important role of education, national system of education, education for equality, right? The reorganization of education at different levels, making the system work all around developing manpower, that how educational institutions should be there and what kind of manpower is required there, correct? It also is especially for Indian women, SC and ST communities, to ensure education for equality for women and these tribes which are there, right? The scheduled castes, the scheduled tribes, which were, as I tell, which were long neglected, correct? The current scheme for the universalization of education for all is the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan. So these are certain, facts which you all should be noting down while watching the videos, which is one of the largest education initiatives in the world. The government is committed to providing education through mainstream schools for children with disabilities and introduce the concept of inclusive education that we have talked about, that every student and every group, be it a minority or a majority, every group should be given equal kind of education, the quality education, and they should be included. But if we talk about again the question which was asked here, that yes, which policy was the one which introduced yoga in the teacher training? It was NPE 1986, that yes, yoga classes should be there inculcated in the teacher training programs, right? The Indian government lays emphasis on primary education up to the age of 14 years. So 16 to 14 years education is free for children, right? Private schools should admit at least 25% of children in their schools without any fee. So this is something new, I think, for you all, right? That even in the private institutions, some kind of quota is reserved for the categories or the students who are unable to get access to education. The NP 1986 has provided for environment awareness. So not only the yoga classes, environment awareness was also one thing which has been talked about here. Science, technological education, and the introduction of traditional elements such as yoga into the Indian secondary school system and the teacher training courses as well. Implementation of NPE, Operation Blackboard, restructuring and reorganization of teacher education, and that's what is being talked about here in the question, that yoga for teacher training purposes was yes introduced by NP 1986, right? Even the vocationalization of education, that means anything which is related to the job sphere as well, work sphere as well, that kind of education should also be provided. Then we have, in which of the following one nation, one standard is mentioned as a mantra to ensure national standards and quality? So you can pause your screens here again as well. The answer to this question is option C, which says that national policy for skill development and entrepreneurship, which was launched in the year 2015, is something which talks about, which takes this mantra in the head, that one nation, one standard, correct? Skill India is an initiative of the Government of India. So basically, if we talk about the skill development and entrepreneurship, it was launched in the year 2015 and it has certain programs, right? For instance, Skill India, right? Initiative of Government of India, which has been launched to empower the youth of the country with skill sets. So basically, there are national skill set, qualification framework which is there. The NSQF, which has been talked about in the previous videos, right? That on different levels, even if through the NSQF scheme, if one person gains any kind of knowledge or gets enrolled in a particular program, they will get a degree. That will depend on the credits, right? To make them more employable and more productive in their work environment. So there is also a degree in national NSQF, that is B vocational degree, right? Which is the one which gives you experience that yes, and now after the B vocational degree, you are not counted as a fresher, but yes, an experienced person, because in the vocational degree, you have gained an experience in what you were, taking as your skill set, correct? The objective of NPSDE 2015 is to meet the challenge of skilling at scale with speed and standard. So standards, quality standards should be maintained. Yes, if a person wants to learn something which is related to makeup, right, all of those things should be taught, but with the quality education, right, and the same standard and speed should be maintained throughout India. The policy states one nation, one standard as a mantra with a view to ensuring national standards and quality. That yes, every student who will be getting registered under a particular program will get the same kind of education. But this kind of education that they are talking about here is much and more related to the skill sets development. Correct? This policy acknowledges the need for an effective plan to encourage entrepreneurship, which means having certain startups. If you have any new ideas in your mind, right, how are you going to establish a business? Hence, the entrepreneurship is something which has been talked about here. It offers courses around 40 sectors in the country which are aligned to the standards which are recognized by both the industry and the government under the National Skills Qualification Framework. So, I have talked already about the National Skills Qualification Framework, that yes, if a person gets enrolled there, they will get certain kind of degree and experience, right, based on the levels which are there. Hence, the NPSDE, right, mentioned or mentions one nation, one standard formula, right. Next question that we have here is, which of the following tools is a collaboration or a collaborative tool for providing a virtual classroom environment? Pause your screens here. The answer to this question is option C, that is a View is a software, is a collaborative tool for providing a virtual classroom environment. What do we have as the full form here? First of all, collaboration. What is collaboration? If you are collaborating with someone. Collaboration is a recurrent process where two or more people work together. So, you are collaborating together in a project which is given to you in the school, right? So, you are working together basically to achieve shared goals, to achieve, for instance, in the school as I am talking about, to achieve good marks in your project, you are collaborating together to share knowledge, learning and building consensus. The common goals could also be an intellectual endeavor or a means of the creation of new knowledge. So, this can be the goal of collaboration, that why are you collaborating together. A view, Amrita Virtual Interactive E-Learning World. So, AVIEW, that makes a view software, correct? This is the full form. Award-winning indigenously built multimodal multimedia e-learning platform that provides an immersive e-learning experience that is almost as good as a real classroom experience. Hence, we are talking about it being virtual, right? That you are getting virtual education which is related just like to the classroom setting which is there, right? But you hear this education, this platform is made indigenously, which means that it is a made in India software, correct? It is an award-winning video conferencing tool to give you the experience of sitting and learning normally as you do in a normal classroom. A View is an internet-based virtual knowledge sharing platform developed by Amrita E-Learning Research Labs. So, who developed it? This is the answer. So, they can ask, AView was developed by whom? So, you have the answer here. It is a part of, yes, this is an important thing again, because in the classroom course as well, we have talked about the Talk to a Teacher program, right? So, in Talk to a Teacher program, the Talk to a Teacher program only uses this AView as a software to deliver lectures, right? Coordinated by IIT Bombay, funded by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, which is now known as Ministry of Education. Next question is, which of the following provides the overarching vision that guides research into socially relevant areas? Pause your screens. The answer to this question is option B. IMPRINT is the scheme which guides research into social relevant areas. What is the full form, etc.? Let's just see. IMPRINT stands for Impacting Research, Innovation and Technology. So, first of all, jot this thing down. Adopting engineering and technology. So first of all, they are talking about innovation in technology, from where we can gather this data that yes, they are talking about engineering and technology as a vehicle to address the societal needs, what is required in the society, and achieving national prosperity. Hence, the goal, socially relevant areas, that IMPRINT works with social relevant areas in mind, and yes, what is required by the society, correct? It has MHRD, that is MOE now, has drafted a new and catalytic scheme called Impact or IMPRINT, right? IMPRINT, sorry, Impacting Research, Innovation and Technology. It is a first of its kind PAN IIT and IISc joint initiative. So basically all the IITs and IISc have joined together. So it is a joint initiative by all the IITs and IIScs with a twofold mandate. So what are the aims? Developing a new engineering educational policy, right? That what are the things which should be taught in the classroom, right? Related to engineering education. Creating a roadmap to pursue engineering challenges which are there, right? So any challenges, so that we can, know that these are the loopholes which are there where we need to work upon. In order to pursue these twin mandates of IMPRINT, Education Policy and Research Roadmap, the 10 technological domains such as engineering challenges or goalposts have been defined. So they have talked about that this is where we need to work on, this is what we are strongly there, right? But yes, we need an education policy which will be there for the engineering background. Each domain in IMPRINT is divided into themes, sub-themes, targets and topics for educational orientation, research and innovation. So the name also suggests innovation and technology. So innovation should also be there, curiosity should also be there. Hence, it provides the overarching vision that guides research in socially relevant areas by bringing forward something which is related to engineering fields, and by developing the research paradigm or research totally in the fields of engineering and technology. So I hope this video was clear, and this thing, that we have talked about here, if we are talking about IMPRINT, right, Saransh, etc., all these things are clear to you. Till the time we meet again, you all are supposed to revise the concepts which are there, right? Keep on smiling, do not panic. I will see you again. Thank you so much.